What up, YouTube? Y'all already know Big Lou tapping back in on the new year, first day of the year, 2023, January 1st. You already know. Last night was a blast, kicking it with my family. Got to see one of my aunts, she's my favorite aunt. I got to see some of my cousins. My favorite cousin growing up as a kid. We used to, what I'm saying? We used to do everything. Wrestle. We were big on wrestling as kids. He was a little bit into the sports too, but then he got away from it once he got a little older. And we got a lot of memories, doing things together in the Bay Area, because we lived in the Valley now, but my pops lived in the Bay and his pops lived in the Bay. So we would go out there a lot of times with either pops, his pops or my pops. And, we did a lot of things. And then he got a little older. He's 2 years older than me. And then he got away from me because he got older and he started kicking it and seeing girls and stuff like that. And then his little brother took his place, so I got to see. It was his house, the little brother, which he's 40 years old, 41 years old now. So he's 41, I'm 40, almost 44, and then my other cousin's 45. So you know what I mean. But their mom was there, and I got to see one of my girl cousins that's the same age as me. She just got me by like 4 months. And then all our, the kids now. So man, I can't get over how big all my cousins' kids are getting. And some of my cousins' kids got kids now. So it's just, man. And then you think back, and it all started from my grandma. You know what I'm saying? The little Puerto Rican lady. It's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? But anyways, this video is gonna be about Terrell Owens, right? But let it be known, this hat I got on right now, this white Raider hat, was a Christmas present from last Christmas. And today's the first time I'm wearing it. And I'm wearing it with my throwback 1988 Mitchell and Ness Bo Jackson jersey. Baby, baby. You already know, man. Unfortunate for Bo, he got hurt in 1991 in the game against the Cincinnati Bengals. It was a playoff game. I believe it was 91. And he had like 6 carries for like 77 yards. He was doing his thing. And unfortunately, he got injured, a hip injury, and he never came back to football. He tried to play baseball. He went from the Royals to the White Sox, but he just never was the same player after that. Unfortunately for the Raiders, we ended up going into the AFC Championship game to play the Buffalo Bills, and they wiped the floor with our asses, 55-3, I think it was. Oh my gosh. Anyways, that's when the Buffalo Bills were very powerful, but they got to 4 Super Bowls in a row, but they could not win. They never got the chip, right? I think with Josh Allen now, though, they will. I like Josh Allen, and I like the Bills somewhat. You know what I mean? I definitely like the Bills over the Chiefs. That's for damn sure. Chiefs obviously are in the Raiders division. They're our rivals for a long time, since 1960, as well as the Broncos and the Chargers. And even Seattle Seahawks used to be in the AFC West. I don't like them still because of the games when I was growing up watching John L. Williams, Dave Craig get away and hit John L. Williams for a screen pass, Howie Long, Townsend, Anthony Smith. Those dudes would almost grab him, get a sack, and he'd get away and dump it off to John L. Williams or Kurt Warner. And when I say Kurt Warner, a lot of you people don't even know. You're like, Kurt Warner's a quarterback. No, I'm talking about Kurt Warner, the running back that played for Seattle. He was a badass running back. He played for Seattle Seahawks. It was John L. Williams, it was Kurt Warner, and Steve Largent. Those are their main weapons. You know what I mean? And the quarterback was Dave Craig. But anyways, I'm wearing Bo Jackson. To me, the modern era, Bo Jackson is the baddest 2-sport player in the history, right? In the modern era, I'm talking about. Now, if you want to go overall, you got Jim Thorpe, you got the rifleman Chuck Connors, you know what I mean? So, and then you got the modern era, you got Deion Sanders and Brian Jordan. But a lot of people don't know John Elway played for the Yankee system. Danny Ainge played for the Blue Jay system, I believe. There's a few other guys that played college. Macho Man Randy Savage played baseball for the Cardinals and the Reds before he went into wrestling. So there's a lot of things. I got a lot of videos I'm going to be doing. I got a lot of content on things dropping. I don't want to get too much, let it out, the cat out the bag too much here. But this video is about Terrell Owens, who in the history books is up there, man. He's up there as far as touchdowns. I think he's third all time, only behind Jerry Rice and I think Randy Moss. Yardage wise, he's receiving yards, he's only behind Jerry Rice and I think it's Larry Fitzgerald. So Terrell Owens has badass numbers. I don't know. I mean, I know why. I kind of know why it took him. He didn't get in right away into the Hall of Fame. It might have been his last year eligibility and he got in, but I know for sure a couple years he did not get in. He was on the ballot. I don't understand that because, like I said, the statistics are there. You know what I'm saying? I think it was more of his attitude with the press and stuff like that. Because keep in mind, guys, most of the people that vote these guys in are press members, right? But then they have the Veterans Committee, and they do their thing too. And I'm pretty sure it's like that for football too, because I know it's like that for baseball. Sports writers are the ones that vote guys in. So if you were a sports writer in that area at the time, in say San Francisco or in Dallas or Philly, because those were the main spots during his career. Later, he played with Buffalo and Cincinnati, but he wasn't the same player. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But so this is the deal. I was gonna make a video on an article I read. Then the next day, another article came out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about both of them right now in the video at one time. So it was said that Terrell Owens, I think he's 49 years old now, he hasn't played since either 2010 or 2012. But I'll read the article after I talk, and I know it's one of those years. It was the last time he played. I think he was 2011, and then 2012 he had some type of injury and he got cut off of. He was on a practice. He was trying to. They cut him before the final roster. I forgot what team it was. I think it was Seattle, but I'll read back and be sure about it. So, anyways, it was said in the article the title of the article was, the first article was, Terrell Owens and the Dallas Cowboys stop talks, right? In other words, they couldn't come up with an agreement. He wanted more money than they thought he was worth. Again, he's 49 years old, right? And he hasn't played in over a decade in the NFL. So his agent was saying how he was watching his workouts and that he still ran a 4.5 and a 40-yard dash. Now that's pretty fast for a 50-year-old, right? And then he's still in tremendous shape. I mean, I seen videos of him. I seen him burning college players, DBs, and guys like that on the field. And he's still got hands. And that's the other thing his sports agent said, that he caught every pass that was thrown to him. Now, I don't know. As a sports agent, he could be putting a 10 on a 2. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But Terrell Owens was a bad motherfucker back in his day, right? No doubt about it. But you got to keep in mind, he hasn't played, like I said, in 10 years. That's a long time to not play. 10 years? And I think it's 10 years plus. It's like 11 or 12 years. That's a long time. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a long time. I don't know what really how he would help the team. You know what I mean? He's old. I mean, let's keep it real. He's old. He's 40. Like I said, he's 49. He hasn't played in like 12 years, or even 10 years, we'll say. So last time he played, he was 39 years old. What really could he do to help the team? You know what I mean? I don't know. But if he could, hey, you know what I'm saying? More power to him. Go make that bread, Terrell. I mean, I don't know, at this point in his age, he must need money, right? I guess. Why would he play? I mean, unless he just got that burning desire to get back on the field. Because look at Mike Tyson. Remember Mike Tyson? He had quit during his last fight, and he just said when they talked to him, I think it was Jim Gray, he was like, I don't have the feel for this no more. It's not in my heart no more. I don't love boxing no more. He goes, and I'm going to retire. But then he came back. You start seeing him train. He was doing all the head movements, footwork like he did when Customato was around. This is something that he abandoned later in his career, and then he started getting tagged. You know what I'm saying? And so he got that burning desire again to get back in the ring. Maybe that's what's going on with Terrell Owens. But Mike was fighting I can't say that word. People's exhibition. There you go, exhibition with Roy Jones, and then he was gonna fight one of the Pauls, I don't know, or somebody else. It's not a legit professional fight. It's not gonna go on his record. Now Terrell Owens it's actually his professional career. It's a professional game. Dallas Cowboys, right? So I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article, and then I'm going to let you guys know about the second article I read the next day. So this article, I read it, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. But I had other content I was dropping, so I didn't want to overflood the channel. I wanted to make sure that I spread it out. You know what I'm saying? So I read that article about, and it says right here, Cowboys, Terrell Owens. This is the title of the article. Cowboys, Terrell Owens, unable to reach deal as 49-year-old asked for too much money. That's what the report said. And this is from Fox News by Ryan Mornick, right? And then the subtitle underneath said Owens' agent was reportedly in constant communication with the team, the Dallas Cowboys. So this is what it says: Terrell Owens' continuing attempt at an NFL comeback has hit yet another stop. Um, just a day after his agent was reportedly in contact with the Dallas Cowboys, the two sides were unable to reach an agreement. Owens, 49, reportedly was seeking more money from Dallas, hence why the talks ended. Okay, the Hall of Famer has played in the Hall of Famer last played in the NFL in 2010 with the Cincinnati Bengals. If he ever makes a return, he'd be the oldest player in NFL history, surpassing George Blanda, who suited up for the Oakland Raiders at age 48 in 1975. Owens spent 3 seasons, 06, 07, 08 with the Cowboys. His agent, Gregory D.L. Daniel, said he was in constant communication with the team. Terrell is ready to contribute and play any role, big or small. Gregory D.L. Daniel told Sports Illustrated. He's in outstanding shape. He looks no different than he did years ago. I watched him running routes full speed with Deshaun Jackson, and he looked great. He didn't drop a pass. Deshaun Jackson is also a older player, not as old as nowhere. I mean, he's probably like 10, 12 years younger, but he's considered OG for the league, right? He played with the Raiders last year. Terrell, let's see. Daniel also claimed that Owens recently ran a 4.5 40-yard dash, which was his warm-up. That's pretty fast for a freaking 49-year-old dude. He's a legend. We want to make history and see him break these records. If anybody can do it, it's him, Daniel added. His 3 Ds are desire, dedication, and discipline. He embodies that every day, even running hills at 3 a.m. on Christmas morning. The Cowboys were in talks to bring in Odell Beckham Jr., and after Jerry Jones said he would join us, he switched up and said it was not realistic for Beckham to wear the star on his helmet. Okay, now this is where I had mentioned earlier, and I think I was right when I said this, and I'm gonna read it now, and I'll see if I was right. It says Owens ranks 3rd all time in receiving touchdowns with 153, behind only Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. So I was right about that. While his 15,934 receiving yards trail those of Jerry Rice and Larry Fitzgerald. So I was right on that. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2018, 3 years after his first eligibility, after playing for the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills, and Cincinnati Bengals. Owens last played in the NFL in 2010 and suffered a torn ACL in the offseason of 2011. He participated in the Seattle Seahawks training camp in 2012, but did not make the final roster. Owens said he trained for several teams during the 2014 season, but to no avail. He played alongside Johnny Manziel in fan-controlled football earlier this year. So I was correct about that as well. So that's where we're at with that. Now, the next day, I read articles saying that Jerry Jones said they never were in contact with Terrell Owens about him coming to play in Dallas. That's kind of like, that's really weird to me, right? I didn't read the articles. I just read the subtitle of like 4 different articles. And, just like what it said with Odell Beckham right there, it said that he was going to join the team. And then he later switched and said that he wasn't going to put the helmet on his head, right? So whatever happened there, I don't know. But, Jerry Jones is a very, how would you say? He's a very, he took that team, they were 1-15. He bought that team. He brought in Jimmy Johnson. They drafted Evan Smith. They drafted Aikman. They drafted Michael Irvin. You know what I mean? They turned that whole shit around, man. They had one of the best offensive lines with Jim Jeffcoat, with Nate Newton. Who else? I can't think of the other guys' names, but there was another 2 or at least another 2 offensive linemen that were, all pros. You had Novacek, Darryl Johnston, you know what I mean? The Cowboys were, they had a squad, a couple years later, Charles Haley joined them. Ken Norton Jr. was over there. They had a squad, man. They won a couple Super Bowls in the '90s, right? I think that's yeah. The Bills lost to the Jets, or excuse me, the Giants. The Cowboys twice, I believe it was, and then they lost to the Redskins? But I think Dallas, yeah, Dallas got 2 or 3 in the '90s, right? They won 2 in the early '90s, and they beat Pittsburgh, I think, in '95, '96 Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So Jerry Jones turned that organization around, even though the Cowboys already had a legacy from the '70s. You know what I mean? They had players, Tony Dorsett, Ed Too Tall Jones, Danny White, Randy White. You know what I mean? uh they were doing their thing, right? They got that's why a lot of people are from like California. They like the Cowboys, older guys, because of what they did in the '70s. You know what I mean? And then what they did, and of course what they did later on. But I'm gonna read now the article about that. About let's see. Okay, so it says, with reports swirling that the Cowboys have been in talks with Pro Football Hall of Fame wide receiver Terrell Owens about a possible return, owner and general manager Jerry Jones chose to clear the air on Friday. During an appearance on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, Jones was asked about reports that he has engaged in discussions with Owens and his agent about signing the 49-year-old receiver. Without a hesitation, Jerry Jones denied that he has ever spoken to Owens or his agent about a comeback. I've never talked to him or his agent and will not seriously consider it, Jones said. I've never talked to him. Owens' agent, Gregory D.L. Daniels, recently said that Owens and Jones have been in constant communication about a possible deal. We've been in constant communication with Jerry Jones' office over the last few days about the possibility of him returning to the Dallas Cowboys, Daniel said. Terrell is ready to contribute and play any role, big or small. He's in outstanding shape. He looks no different than he did years ago. Okay, some of this stuff is what I said in the other article. I watched him running routes full speed with Deshaun Jackson, and he looked great. He didn't drop a pass. He most recently ran a 4.5 40-yard dash, which was his warm-up. He's a legend. We want to make history and see him break these records. If anybody can do it, it's him. Okay, this is the same stuff. It says the 3 Ds are desire, dedication, and discipline. He embodies that every day, even running hills at 3 a.m. in the morning. However, Owens is reportedly not signing a contract with the Cowboys. Jones' empathetic denial of any communication only backs up that report. Owens hasn't taken an NFL field since he played for the Bengals in 2010. So again, like I said, folks, that's 12 years ago. So he's 49. So last time he was suited up in an NFL uniform he was 37 years old, which that's considered close to being retirement age. You know what I'm saying? The Hall of Fame wide receiver has been trying to make a comeback this fall, but even if he doesn't return, Owens' numbers stand among the best in the league. Owens finished his illustrious career with 1,078 receptions for 15,934 yards and 153 touchdowns. He ranks third in NFL history in receptions and receiving yards and touchdowns, right? So there it is there. So I don't know what's going on there. Like I said, I read both articles. It's strange that, Owens' agent would come out and say those things. And then, if they weren't talking to Jerry Jones, and then Jerry Jones would say, I've never talked to them. But when I was reading that second article, it said that he spoke to Jerry Jones's office. So maybe he never did talk straight up to Jerry Jones, but he spoke to people in his office. That could still be, the truth, but not the truth, if you guys understand what I'm saying. But it seems to me that, maybe, the wide receivers usually, tight ends, wide receivers, they want to get that mark. The mark is 100-yard receptions, right, for the season. And then, of course, over 1,000 yards. Those would be incentives in, contract, little incentives. You know what I mean? You get 1,000 catches, 100 catches, you get 1,000 yards. You do this, you do that. You'll get an extra little bonus here and there, whatever. But it seems that, he's ranked third in receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns, you know, I think at that age, he's probably good for maybe, 30, 40 catches, maybe. You know what I mean? So obviously he's, not only would he be the oldest player and that'd be a record, it seems like he's kind of catch those other records that he's ranked third at. I don't know how far he's behind Jerry Rice, and Jerry Rice is first in those categories. I don't know how far behind he is. You know what I'm saying? If it's realistic or not. You know what I mean? I don't know. But at that age, 49 is, how relevant could you be? You know what I'm saying? I mean, now 49 is very, might as well say 50 right now. Bernard Hopkins was still champion at 49. You know what I mean? But obviously that's boxing, not football. You know what I mean? And it's not obvious, but it's a known fact. It's a proven fact that when you get older, you can get injured easier. No matter if you're stretching and working out and all that, that doesn't matter. And then it's harder to come back from the injuries. It takes longer to heal. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So this is an article about Terrell Owens. I'm not, obviously I'm not a Cowboy. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I'm not a Niner fan. I'm not an Eagle fan. You know what I'm saying? But, and I'll say this, shout out Cowboys, shout out to my boy, my brother, a guy that I've known all my life. I mean, since I was 4 years old. So you're talking 40 years. My boy Trubs, he's a Cowboy fan. I sent mine, you know what I'm saying? My little homie that I brought up, JoJo Potato Papa Dome. He's an Eagles fan. Shout out to him. I kicked it with him last night for New Year's. And Niner fans, there's a ton of Niner fans. Shouts out to the Niner fans. I'll say this, Rich DM 650, he's a Niner fan. Salute, homie. You know what I mean? Also, Cowboy fan, also Timo DeVille. He's a Cowboy fan. He's from Soho, California, but he has Texas roots. So that's understandable why you would like them, right? And like I said, they were, I don't know how old Timo is. I think he's older than me. So like I said, these cats are older than me. They remember when the Cowboys were powerhouses in the 70s as well. So in the 70s, it was the Steelers, pretty much the team of the decade. They have 4 bowls, 4 rings in the 70s, but then the Cowboys have a couple, right? And the Cowboys been to a couple that they lost, I believe, as well. And then the Raiders, you know what I'm saying? The Raiders were dominant, even though they only have 1 Super Bowl in the 70s. They were there in the thick of things, battling out with the Steelers and shit. You know what I mean? So, they're these organizations, when you talk about history and their legacies, and, it's the Steelers, Cowboys, Raiders, you know what I mean? Niners are one of the oldest teams from the 40s. But they weren't really good back then. But the 80s, they're the team of the decade. They got 4 Super Bowls in the 80s, 1 in the 90s. They got 5 altogether. They've been to 7. The Steelers have 6, and they've been to, I think, 8. Cowboys have 5, I believe it's 5, and they've been to like 9, 8 or 9. You know what I mean? The Raiders got 3, and they've been to 5. You got the Packers won first Super Bowl 1 and 2. Then Rodgers got 1, and I think Brett Favre got him 1, and Brett Favre lost. No. Brett Favre did get 1. They beat the Bledsoe and the Patriots, right? And then look at Tom Brady. He's got, oh shit, what does Tom Brady have? 7 rings or 6 rings? I think yes, it's one or the other. But he got 1 with Tampa, and the other one's with New England. And then New England lost to the Bears in 85 Super Bowl. That was with Steve Grogan was the quarterback. Andre Tippett was there. They lost 85, and then they lost that one to Brett Favre and the Packers, right? And they lost what? They lost those 2, and then they lost in the Brady era. They lost 2 to the Giants. They lost 1 to the Eagles, right? And I think 1 more. Seattle? No, threw an interception. Okay, so that's 5 losses for the Patriots, and then they got 6, I believe. So they've been to 11. So, these teams got legacies, you know what I'm saying? And there's still some teams that haven't even won a Super Bowl, you know what I mean? The Eagles just joined the list. They got their bowl finally. There's still some teams that don't got one, though. So, it is what it is. So even though the Raiders, a lot of the guys that been seeing what's been going on with the Raiders, like I say, it's embarrassing. Another disappointing season. So everybody sees that. But if they don't know history of football, they don't know that the Raiders were a powerhouse at one time. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. Like the Niners, like I said, they came out, I think, in 46, 46 or 48, one of those, and they weren't that good, Literally, if you take away the 80s of the Niners, they weren't, they weren't all that. But they've had a lot of winning seasons since the 80s. They got one bowl in 95 when they beat San Diego, smashed them. You know what I mean? But I don't hate on no teams. I'm just giving an overall. I'm just letting everybody know, like, the history of some of the squads. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. But I'm gonna go ahead and tap out on this one. I seen a badass car, man, and I was trying to do a short with it, and the damn thing I didn't hit record. So I thought I had it. I was gonna post it, and it wasn't there. But anyways, it is what it is, people. I appreciate each and every one of you guys that come and sub and watch. If this is the first time you're coming to the channel, hit that sub button. Hit the like button if you dig the content. Also share it with your peoples, your family, your friends, your folks, right? Your gente. If it's your cup of tea, you know what I'm saying? I talk a wide variety of topics here. I do mostly sports I've been doing profiles from the 80s, you know what I'm saying? From when I started watching sports and from the stuff I remember. So I say the 80s, but it was like 84, 85-ish when I got into stuff, right? So I'm big on, so I'm doing profiles on the sports players I remember from back then during that time, from baseball, basketball, football, boxing, pro boxing, and then pro wrestling, right? I was a big pro wrestling fan. I've did it on different videos. I've done profiles on many guys. I got a lot more stuff. I got a lot of content already ready, ready to go. I just got to do the recording and make sure that I got a little bit more of my facts straight, as far as like where the guys are born and their birth date, shit like that. But I'm gonna go off my head from what I remember. You know what I'm saying? Now I could be wrong on some things because, like I said, I'm going back, 30 plus years. But that's why I always say, feel free to comment anything. Contradict if you want to contradict what I'm saying. If you want to add on to what I'm saying, if you want to which we call piggyback, right, on what I'm saying. If you want to add your own thing or share a story, like some people, like I've dropped things and some people were like, oh yeah, I did, so and so live right down the street from me in North Carolina, or I'm from Pittsburgh, that's where Bruno Sammartino's from. They named this thing after him. Another person shared that they met the Wild Samoans when their kid was 8 years old. You know what I mean? And it was like 83. They came and did a thing at the local high school, and they was able to take a picture with the Wild Samoans. So like all that stuff's cool. Sharing stuff, about past experiences and things that people have seen and done. So that's why I mean by comment. And then also, if you got any questions for me about anything, go ahead and drop it in the comment section and I'll get back at you. You know what I'm saying? If anybody wants to, like I got some people saying, how can I get on the live with you? Just drop it in the comment section. If you're like interested on doing something, a collaboration on something or whatever it is, you want to tell your story, that's cool too. Like, if you went from being a screw up or, ex-con or ex-dope dealer, dope fiend, but now you're doing good. That's what I want to hear. I want to put people's stories out there, you know what I'm saying? And try to, put the message out there that don't give up. You can do better. Look at me. You know what I'm saying? I wasted a lot of years, decade of my life behind the walls, California state prisons. Now I'm 5 years, free, clean, and free of parole paperwork, worrying about doing this shit, looking in my rearview mirrors about the cops, any of that stuff. So, like I said, if you got any questions for me, drop it. And then if you guys get at me like that, like, hey, I want to do this, I want to share that, then I'll get at me, let me know that, and then I'll give you the email to email me and we'll figure out what's up. You know what I'm saying? But I got a ton of topics, content coming out. I got I'm gonna do a profile on, like I said, Bo Jackson to me is the greatest two sport player in the modern era. And what I mean by the modern era is 80s, 70s till now. You know what I mean? Because Jim Thorpe is way back. The greatest professional player, probably two sport player, or I think even three sport he might have played. But definitely the Native Americans, he's their like, he's like their Pelé, from Brazil, so I'm gonna do some on him and also the rifleman Chuck Connors because he also played a couple different sports. I got some things coming out on pro wrestling about guys that were I got three videos that I want to do about pro wrestling. It's about the guys from West Texas State that became professional wrestlers, guys that were from the Minnesota area that came and became professional wrestlers, because a lot of them are like main guys, where they were champions and stuff, like, and held belts in a lot of different promotions. And then I want to do one on, like I said, ex-football players that became professional wrestlers that played pro football. There's a lot of them. You guys are going to be surprised. A lot of you guys that know the history of some wrestling knows it already, know about, guys such as Wahoo McDaniels, Blackjack Mulligan, uh, Hacksaw Butch Reed, uh, Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. Uh, who else we got? Goldberg, Steve Goldberg. There's a couple more. A couple guys were real good in college, but didn't make it to pros, such as Ron Simmons, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Dr. Dusty Williams, Lex Luger. There's a couple more, but they didn't make it to the pros. Lex Luger, I don't know. Lex Luger might have made it to the pros. But Ron Simmons and Dr. Steve Williams were definitely All-Americans in their colleges. But I don't know why they didn't make it to the pros, right? Oh yeah, Big Van Vader. Vader was another pro football player. So we're gonna talk about some of that background of their football experience, and also gonna be dropping some more profiles on pro wrestling. The next one up is gonna be Andre the Giant and Big John Studd. I got profiles coming out on Alan Trammell and Sweet Lou Whitaker. Also, Carlton Fisk and Reggie Jackson. Who else? And there's a couple more I got ready to go. Oh, Bernard King and Kiki Vanderway. So I got a lot of content. I got other stuff. I got sports. I got a couple true crime stuff, murder stuff that I'm gonna do. And I got another video I'm gonna drop on special conditions of parole and what that is and what that means. So with that being said, everybody, man, it's a new year today, 2023. Let's go into this mofo with a big bang. You feel me? And do better than we did in 2022. Everybody make those resolutions, but make them realistic, make them, what I say, small goals. And then, you got your bigger goals, but be realistic about it. Don't make it like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. I mean, if you have things in place where last year you made 600,000 or 800,000, okay, I can understand that. But if you made $50,000 last year for the year, or 80,000, now you're saying I'm going to be a millionaire this year. That's not realistic, really. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's my perspective on it. But some people say, I heard some people last night saying, this is the last night I'm going to drink. This is the last night I'm going to smoke. This is the last night I'm going to do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? Me, I just want to be a better spouse, a better father, a better son, a better brother, a better cousin, a better friend to my true friends. And, and I want to keep it 100 with you guys, and myself, and just keep on keeping on. You feel me? Can't stop, won't stop. On mines, no fly zone, never went nowhere. We're still here, and like I said, people have lives off of this shit, right? We can't just jump on at 2-3 in the morning and hey, make a video. Fuck this one, fuck that one. You know what I'm saying? That's not us, anyways. And people got lives, like I said. So my brothers Nelson, Carlos, boom, vaya, saludos, bendiciones a ustedes, and te amo, mis hermanos. I love you guys, man. You guys always been 100 with me, man, and great advice you guys are giving me in different times we spoke. You know what I'm saying? And I wish you two guys nothing but the best. Keep pushing, you know what I'm saying? You guys already know, man. We talk and it's all good in Hollywood, and there's no need for me to speak on here about what we talk about. That's our business. And I'm just gonna say, you guys always never steer me the wrong way, never gave me any type of bullshit advice on things. Always straight from the heart, always honest, honest, um, honest, what do I call that? Honest, honest feedback. There you go, from you guys, man. And I wish we lived closer, man, so I could see you guys, man. But one day, hopefully, I can jump on a plane, man, and maybe go out there. You know what I'm saying? Or, with Nelson's job, who knows? Maybe he lands over this way. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, um, I'm proud of you two guys, man. And boom, keep on keeping on. Like I said, let's keep pushing. Boom, 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 and make 2023 better than 2022. And let's go to the moon, Alice. I'm gone.